the main thing that a salesperson should do is to build. So you've got the identifying of the business. How do you go and find business? So the finder's cap, then you have to run the process and close the deal. So that's a one hit wonder. One hit, one hit, one hit, one hit. The way that you compounded that with interest is by building a customer base that is loyal and that is a fan, that wears your name on the back of their shirts at every braai or social event which they go and visit, and then they spread the word, and that's how you get referrals and customers. And that is a customer that doesn't put you under the microscope and expect the world from you up front. So they know XYZ, John, Pete, um, Sibu, Joseph, whoever has experienced whatever you do is satisfied, and they've told their friend or family member about it, and now you get the opportunity to serve them. So having said that, let's kick it off. By the way, we should get through this in about an hour. So at about 7 o'clock, if you do have a question, I would like you to ask me. You can ask me anything, but if it's related to this, and the next part that we're going to unpack is how to process a loss. If it's related to that, I'll gladly dive deeper in the last 30 minutes. But three types of people on this webinar today: the delusional, who have no clue how powerful this actually is. So they kind of know it's important and you have to pay some attention to it, but they don't realize the power. This was us 7 years ago, 6 years ago. I went to a NADA, not us, let me not say us, me. This was me. I was delusional. I went to an NADA conference in the States, in Las Vegas, and the National Dealer Association conference is where 32,000 dealers pitch up to Las Vegas, which is freaking awesome, in a massive convention center the size of a town. And every single day, it's the only thing that I didn't like. Everything was 10 out of 10, and this was like a 2 out of 10. And the only thing that I didn't like was they run simultaneous seminars and workshops at the same time. So you have a roster, you know what's coming up for today and tomorrow. The whole event is planned out with who's speaking at what time in which room. So what ended up happening is, like, there's 10 people speaking at a time, and then you have to pick one. So eventually I rushed to this online reputation seminar where a woman absolutely changed my life and the way that I see business. And it's a small garage, small dealership that has the number one reputation in Northern America. Okay, small dealership. So relatively large compared to what our size dealerships are, but small compared to the US warehouses that they have. And she unpacked it this way. And that's the first thing that landed. She said, you can't buy it. It's not a thing that you can go and write a check and boom, all of a sudden you have a reputation that is impeccable because you have money. Okay. The indifferent group of people. So I came in delusional, okay, then became indifferent and then became enlightened. So hopefully if you come in delusional and spend the time with me, I can at least push you to indifferent halfway and then enlightened at the end of it. But indifferent means the following, and I wrote it up. This is a few of you that know it's kind of important, but you've not really had the chance to put in energy into it. Okay? And because as this stuff is not your typical A-type personality of activity, it's not important now. Okay. So an A-type personality is someone that chases urgent but not important. And the difference between the two is there will always be an endless supply of urgent stuff in your business. Urgent stuff, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. There's going to be urgent stuff every 15 or 20 minutes that need your attention. But if you can focus on important for a half a day or 90-minute webinar like I'm going to present, then you will become enlightened. And that is, here we have the community that cares about the online reputation and is trying to grow the reviews, but lack the hard skills to do so. So it's one thing to care, it's a completely different skill set to execute. One thing to care, different skill set to execute. On my way here, we had a customer complaint And I'm going to give you the cycle that it runs through. So the customer complaint was very straightforward and it was an honest. Spoke to our salesperson, applied for a vehicle that is older. Salesperson was very direct from the beginning and said, ma'am, if you're going to apply for this year model, this vehicle, we are over retail on this vehicle due to mileage and age. The only way that I can do this for you is with 30% deposit. There's no other way to do this. So the salesperson did exactly what they were told in training. Manage expectations up front, right up front, and then give them your best. So the customer didn't like the answer, said, I want to buy that car with no deposit. So the salesperson said, okay, I've got similar vehicles, slightly more expensive. So it is slightly more expensive, and we can do it without a deposit. And again, went into the explanation of this is what retail value is. This is what the bank allows. Anything above this will have to come out of your pocket because that will have to be seen as a deposit to match the retail value. Okay, we can't go over a certain percentage of that here. It's about 120%. We were 150% over retail. So you're going to have to give us a 30% deposit, which equates to this. Back and forth, back and forth. Customers unhappy. Customers' eyes, we want to upsell to a more expensive car because we have more profit in that more expensive car, which in reality, in that specific case, is the total opposite. We have a lot less profit in a more expensive car, but it's new. We've got a bigger profit in the older car because it's super duper special. Wrote a customer complaint on our website. It went into the department that handles it. We call it the CO, Customer Relationship Management Team. They screenshot it, post it on a group, and now we have to give input. First, we need to figure out who is the customer, who assisted him, and then get a manager involved to speak to that specific customer. I'm going to give you the process in a second, but the moment you become from delusional to indifferent to enlightened, once you're enlightened and you're aware that this is important, I have to work on it. It's not urgent, it's important. I have to give it more time. The more time you allocate to it, the higher the probability of success when you pair it up with an actual strategy. Let everyone leave now. I'm talking boring stuff that will make people rich. 101. Yes. Geez, all the guys that want to make money are still on. By the way, this trumps any closing technique I'll ever teach you. This absolutely destroys anything that you will learn on Wolf of Wall Street long term. Not short term, but long term. So if you want to build a proper team, a proper online reputation, we're going to get into it right now. Okay, as people, before we get into it, okay, that's what the slide says. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm confused here with my own slide. But Elsie, you changed the slide a little bit, or is it the same?
I did tell it to you back to account.
Okay. As people, we control the narrative of our businesses. And the moment we lose control of the narrative, someone else controls it. Okay. We'll repeat that. That came up in the P. Diddy trial that 50 Cent is getting so much flack for and praise for. But P. Diddy said, I have to control the narrative. Now, he did for decades until everything caught up to him. But controlling the narrative means you can go out and put into the universe what the consumer base thinks of you. Okay. How do you do that? I'm going to show you now. But if you don't control it, someone else will. We always have this conversation with my team. Every single day, I screenshot the most expensive ads that we pay for. So these are the ads that cost us thousands of rands per day. How much money? Tens of thousands of rands. How much money did we spend on these ads? The two most expensive. And then I compare how much leads, how many leads rather, I bring in through organic sources. So we are at anything from 400 to about 500,000 organic views across all 9 platforms, social platforms, between 2 channels. So it's my channel, Mit-Mak Motors, and Bobby Petco. So almost averaging 500,000 organic views per day across the two channels over 9 platforms. So that's X, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, everything. We are there. Okay. Slightly different places and slightly different captions because on some platforms you're allowed to post links, like Facebook. You can have a call to action, which is a link. So when the consumer sees the reel or the post or the image, if they want to go and proceed and take action, there's a link. On Instagram, you can't. So you need to have clever ways on each platform how to trigger that call to action. That actual, if this is your flavor, shoot could be a message or deliver anywhere in beautiful sunny South Africa. So in different areas of the platforms, you have to set up your bios correctly. You have to have the call to action correct. So there's lots of automation that you can do on Instagram, but that's not what we're here for. What I'm saying is if you can control the narrative on all the platforms all the time, your probability of being successful and growing your reputation exponentially increases. If you don't, and you allow someone else to do it, then your future is in their hands, which is a scary, scary thought. So when I screenshot the thing, I have a conversation with myself. All right, I have the legends, Eddie, Dean, Mahmati, Sibu, everybody's around. So, okay, this is what we paid for yesterday. This is what I generated myself. So if you want to post on social media, be careful because if you do it the way I do it, the way I train you guys in the morning, ends up happening is you make money. So be careful posting. You might make money. But having said that, it's much easier today to control the narrative than it was a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, if you didn't know Johan Rupert by first name and handshake, you couldn't be on TV unless you paid him hundreds and thousands of rands to put you on TV on radio where somebody can actually hear your message. Now that's very expensive. At one stage, we were big on radio, and one day I woke up and I said, "Okay, I'm driving in traffic. Look to my right, husband's driving, wife is on her phone. I can literally see she's on Facebook like this. All right. As soon as the car stops, husband's phone is, I also keep it here between my legs. As soon as I stop, it's a red road. I'm like, okay, it's green there. Quickly check one or two things, and then we continue driving. So everybody's attention is on their phone. We're paying at a stage over $250,000 for radio ads. Can we measure the ads? Can we measure how many people have actually seen that ad? Now, someone from radio will give you a slick answer and say, yes, our LSM is very high. The average income of our listener is XYZ. They'll give you a slick answer because that's what they get paid to do. But the reality is you can't. They have a plus minus around X amount of people will hear the traffic message. And if you want them to hear it, it will cost you 55,000 Rand. For a shout out on one of the top DJs or one of the producers puts a piece of paper and then they read it. Oh, by the way, XYZ dealership is having a special. If you want to take blah, 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 blah fish paste. I'm not saying it doesn't work because it does work. But for me, the return on investment of $250,000 plus was negative. So that same morning, have a meeting, cut all radio. Literally all radio was cut because I can't measure it, you can't track it, and we don't really know. We don't know because the customer will say, "Oh, I heard about you somewhere, and then I saw one or two billboards, and then I just Googled you." Okay, so it ends up at Google, or it ends up at Meta, or it ends up them researching it on a platform like Hello Peter, or ultimately what ended up happening is AutoTrader created a ranking system for the dealerships, and that's how they measure your reputation. So that's where they first check, okay, I'm choosing between two dealers. One dealer's ranking is 3.6 out of 5 stars, and the next dealer's ranking is 4.8 out of 5. The one dealer's got 12 reviews, the other dealer's got 1,500 reviews. So more people experience this, and more people, based on data, are happier with this dealership than this. The moment that curves happens, you go out and market that. So this is where we are on this platform. This is where we are on this platform, that platform. Now, Hello Peter We've been the defending champions for 5, 6 years in a row. This is the sixth year. So 6 years in a row, we used cars and car dealerships in South Africa, number one, 6 years in a row, using this strategy. And we're going to get into it. Okay, point one, your online reputation cannot be bought, it has to be earned. Every time you have a client that you can validate what you're doing or improve what you're doing wrong, don't miss either of these opportunities. So a lot of people have a fear of a one star. It's a real fear. It's like, if I get a one star, my reputation's over. Okay. A one star review has to be seen like an expert, an expert rating agency that is doing a rating on your business by actually either buying from you or trying to buy from you or has bought from you in the past for free. So this is a consulting company that's doing a consultation for your company for free. A one-star review is welcome. Like the customer complaint that we received earlier, when I read, I actually had Elena read it for me because I was busy driving. As soon as she put it on, found her because she screenshot and put it on our group. I said, read me this because I'm driving. It's quite a detailed complaint. Read me this. And she started reading. On this day, this time, this salesperson, this is what I see. This is what he said. This is what I said. This is what he said. I said, okay, awesome. So even though the salesperson had everything down to the T, I can literally read the review, okay? And it's my training on the review, exactly what I teach them to do. Yet still that customer got so frustrated that he had to post this as a sign of I'm not happy. And to go forward, you need to make me happy on the way. So immediately I say, okay, cool. What the salesperson should have done, this is my next training, is take in the app, get the approval with the deposit, get the decline with the deposit. It's a strong customer. Get the approval on the newer car because you can structure slightly better. Maybe the older car can only go 60 months, newer car can go 72 months. So even though it's more expensive, the car's installment will be cheaper without a deposit. And once you present those two things, those two podiums to the customer that way. So here's the car that you inquired for as an approved deal with this much deposit. Here's the decline without a deposit. Here's the other car without a deposit. For this term, this is your installment. It's the customer, which one do you want? Then you can't say, I want this one without a deposit. That's what the bank requires. Now, because we deal with it every day, we know what the bank will say, but the customer doesn't. In his mind, in her mind, we try to upsell them on a more expensive car because we're making more money on that car, which is totally incorrect. I'll go and pull the costing sheets to the customer and say, this is how much money we're making on the new car. I'm not sure, I've done thousands of times. This is how much money we're making on the old cars. Can you see that the old car is more profitable in order for us to do it this way? So this is how it should have went, and this is how it's going to go on going forward from tomorrow. We'll retrain the whole stuff. It's going to be 2 or 3 calls with the management team. They'll train each tier. I'll train my tier. And then from tomorrow, that conversation, if it happens, that's how we'll approach it. So once you receive a one star, we haven't had one in months.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. When I saw that group pop up, I'm like, huh? What's going on here? Where did we fail? And then when we started reading it, when Elena read it, immediately I went to, this is freaking awesome. And this is how we'll improve. Because that writing and review is actually free advice from an expert that has actually, hi Anna, on a live. Can I call you back?
Sorry.
No problem.
Yes,
Of course. Thank you. Bye. Bye. So I always have like, there's a couple of numbers that when they're fun, I always answer the phone. Sorry about that. But we'll continue. If it was urgent, you would have said it's urgent. Okay, let's continue. Else, my start's not working. There we go. Okay. This is a huge, sorry, I'm making dry jokes again.
Yeah, I give myself a laugh.
This is a huge, please don't miss this. When you are being compared to another business, the fastest way to close a customer, no matter what industry you're in, is to pull up both company reviews. This has made me tens of millions of rands, and it will make you money as well. Nothing humbles a client faster than getting them to stop bringing up objections quicker than head to head, one on one, platform to platform on one screen. Typical example, one of the biggest BMW dealerships in the country is in the Joburg area. I'm not going to name and shame them. We're competing for the same customer on an X3 40i, an expensive car, 1.2 million rand car, 40i X3. Very similar car, very similar spec. They come out fully kitted. Our car was white, brown leather. The other car was grey with black leather. Quite a hip young couple. He loves the brown leather. His wife says, listen, you can buy this car from BMW themselves. I understand you're an Uncle Bobby fan, but it's from BMW. Why do you want to go and see Uncle Bobby's car? I said, sweet. Have the conversation with the consumer. He says, Bobs, this is what my wife's tuning. I said, okay, can we have a three-way call? Yes, sure, 100%. Perfect. Ma'am, can you operate your WhatsApp while I've got you on speaker? I hope you're not driving. I'm not driving, Bobs. I'm at work. I'm in my office. Great, ma'am. Here's where we're at. The BMW dealership that you went to and saw their car. Do you like the car? Yes, I do. The car's nice, and we've seen your car. Okay. Here's the difference in what you can see. Both dealerships are run by human beings. Not me or that dude can walk on water. Trust me. Okay. If you cut us open, both of us bleed red, and both of us will die. Okay. Those are facts. Here's BMW, that specific one. Here's their rating. They had a very, very poor rating. After sales is almost non-existent at the dealership. Over 100 reviews, 2.8 out of 5 stars. Said, okay, I'm not bad mouthing it. I'm just predicting the future. Over 100 reviews, 2.8 stars. Motors, here we go. 4.8 stars, over 1,100 reviews at that stage. Which company do you think treats their customers better? Us or them? And then I shut up. Which one? No, you do. Okay, great. Once you drive off the showroom floor, once you drive off, it's you, the car, the back, and the dealership. Based on historical data, what they've done in the past, if there's an issue, I'm not saying there will be, their car looks awesome. But should there be an issue, how are they going to treat you versus how are we going to treat you based on data? Now, you are incredibly ahead of them in terms of reputation. Okay, it's 10 o'clock now. I'll fuel the car and I'll have it ready by 12:30. Is that fair? Yes, Uncle, it's fair. We'll take a drive, we'll come back. Head to head comparison. It's very hard for a customer to deny that. This is the score that we have. This is the score that the other dealership has. Very, very important. Okay. This is this is an exercise that will hopefully change the way that you see business, not only your online reviews. I'm going to give you a minute. Did 90 people leave, or are there still 100 people left for the boring stuff?
100.
Oh, all the guys and girls that want to make money. Okay. Rate these from most to least important. Customer service, product, culture, and a great leader. What is most important to have a fantastic reputation as a company? I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Customer service, product, culture, and a great leader. What's number one? What's number two? What's number three? What's number four? Can someone put it in the comments what they think? What's number one? What's number two? What's number three? What's number four? And then I'm going to give you logic that will change the way you see things going forward. Let's give them 10 seconds. Anyone brave enough to put it in the comment section? Anyone? I actually appreciate this.
So Marcus is saying great leader first.
Yeah.
Then 2, product.
Yeah.
3, customer service.
Hmm. And the last one would then be culture. Anyone else have a different point of view?
John
Hmm?
is saying, ek het net sien of hy nie voorheen ook gestuur het. Okay, so eers is customer service
Yeah.
en dan het hy net gestuur 3 op sy volgende comment.
3. So that's culture. Okay. Check this out. In the following, if you have a great leader that believes in this to their core, and believes in this, that's first the most important. Number 2 is culture. That leader creates the culture of great service and growing your brand through great service by waging war against the market for the customers to win. Okay. Number 3 is the new product. And then customer service. So, sorry, I've got my wires crossed. Great leader creates a great culture that gives fantastic customer service and then delivers on the product. So, great leader creates a great culture that then gives fantastic customer service, and the product is least important. Because if you have a great leader that created a great culture in each and every department, workshop, great culture, the product is just going to be, it's just going to be a symptom because you want to give customers great service because of the culture the leader has. So the product in this slide for me is the least important. It's always going to be at the forefront. But if the leader creates a great culture, so the culture within the leadership, within whatever business you run, the culture is that of give a superior service to the customer and great product. Service is the third most important. The product is last. And the reason it's last is it's going to be a 10 out of 10 product flawlessly because the leader drives the culture. And the culture creates the customer service and the experience, which is then executed by the product. Hope it makes sense. Anyone in the comments who wants to say something?
Mohammed is saying, yo.
Who? Mohammed.
Yeah.
Is he saying yo?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad it makes sense. So, great leader creates a fantastic culture, provides fantastic customer service, and then the product is a byproduct of the entire ecosystem, which is driving the product service that you're selling. Next slide. Online reputation, which means if we fail and receive a negative review, it's either a process problem we need to add to eliminate steps, or it's a people problem. We need to retrain the person on the work or have someone step in. So if you think about a customer that's been in your business that was unhappy, it's either a process that failed. So when it comes to process, you need to have your ego in check outside the room, and you need to make sure that you work on your process. So here's what I mean by process. For example, in the past, before we, for example, purchased the vehicle, we didn't have access to e-Natus to plug in directly. And we had to get that information in other ways. Okay. Come to your house, we look at your car, we like your car, we think it's a fantastic car, we have a bit of a haggle, we agree on a price, we shake hands, we can't do the deal with you if it's after 2:30. Because we got the Natus check to make sure that the vehicle wasn't deregistered or major accidents written off, etc. That system is offline. We don't have access to the system, so we rely on a third party. Okay. We go out, we see 10 vehicles. The customer's expectation is built up that we're going to come there, look at your car, negotiate on the price, and pay. We see 10 vehicles, we're buying four. And one customer is very upset, phones me and says, "Yeah, Bob, you still going to come and fetch the car. Now, this guy is saying that he can't do a latest check. What the hell is a latest check? Why didn't you tell me this morning? I had to leave work early to meet this dude at 4:30 to take like a three-quarter day off leave. And now I can't do the deal. Now we can only do it tomorrow. Must I take leave tomorrow again?" Okay, that's a process problem. Huge problem for us in the buying department. Eventually, what ended up happening is through trial and error, we went and we plugged ourselves into United. So it works 24/7 all the time from two PCs in our dealership. So it can't be done off-site because they have to white label your IP address, and it's a whole security thing that we have to go through, and people have to be interviewed that have access to the system, etc. So it's a complex thing, but we fixed the process. So now when we speak in the morning, sir, what time can we see the car? Bob's, I work until 6. Okay, great. So when we get to the car, we do everything. This time around, we've already done all the prep work ahead of time because you sent us the disc, etc., etc. Say, for example, you didn't have the disc and the car's at home, and there's no one at the house. How am I going to take a photo of the disc? No problem, sir. When we get there, first thing, snap the disc, make sure that we do our checks, the background, the DNA checks, everything is sweet. Boom, we can EFT the money and do the deal right there and then off the house. Off the house. Okay, that's a process that we have to fix. When it comes to a person, when a person fails, the person that failed that we spoke about earlier is an experienced salesperson. If I close my eyes, I could just picture the conversation, what he was supposed to say versus what he said. Everything was perfect. I can't fault it because the actual complaint comes through as our training. When the customer says this, this is what you say. When the customer, because you have to manage expectations in front. When the customer says this, this is what you have to say. So now this is a people problem. And the beauty is, it's all the people in our company that have to get retrained on that one specific thing. When a customer starts haggling like that and starts pumping the brakes and you can't get out of it, instead of explaining it to him like a 5-year-old for the fifth time, because it kind of seems a little, I can sense that the customer felt like it was patronizing. It was like playing on his intelligence. This dude doesn't make sense. I heard you all 4 times, but you're trying to upsell me because you want to make more money on the more expensive car versus actually giving me the car that I want. Okay, sweet. The whole company has to be retrained. So in a situation like this, if it goes to a junior or very senior person, we'll all know what to say in that specific context. And that's how you retrain. However, it is what it is. We're all human. We all go through some stuff. We've got personal issues. Sometimes you get retrain the person. If they continuously keep getting it wrong, then we have to move on. That's a different course, how to fire softly and gently, that you can create an enemy coming from an expert enemy creator. Right here. I've created so many enemies because I didn't know how to fire people softly and gently. And actually do it for the right reason, with respect, and have them move on and have the guts to say, I worked with Uncle B, this is how long we worked, use him as a reference point. Because that's the right way to do. We all need to have integrity, we all need to be humans with each other, mistakes happen. Sometimes I'll have a salesperson move into like a below average salesperson, good human, below average salesperson, move into the buying department, then we have a position for them, move into the buying department and be an absolute rock star. So things like that happen. Or if there's no positions in the company, they move on, they go and do great things at another place. But you have to know how to do that. Okay. Negative reviews, unboxing them. Okay. This is a three-person game on a negative review. Three-person game. It cannot be handled at the highest level by one person. And I'm going to unpack why. The moment the customer is unhappy, the customer just wants to be heard. That client wants to tell you why they're unhappy. Now, if you have an A-type personality, receiving this heavy Mike Tyson right and left and a hook and bite and a kick and an eye gouge and all this other stuff, telling you your future and sometimes swearing at you, you can't have an A-type personality because now they're going to challenge each other. So someone in the company, in the corporation, normally our people laugh at me. It needs to be a November baby because a November baby is very good with customer service. And I don't even believe in astrology. But when I heard it, I went and checked who's the best at this in our company historically. Almost all of them are November baby. So that person, boy or girl, and here's another thing, the punching bag should be a woman. Now, before you go gender-based violence, GBV, why it should be a woman is when there's an angry man, he tends to shout and swear and scream and spit and bite less at a woman. That's just a fact. It's easier to fluke me and tell me you're gonna do X, Y, Z. That a couple of years ago, I've got an uncle that was so upset, so freaking upset. And after that, we ended up becoming friends. He says, "You know what I'm going to do with this highlights?" I said, "Tell me what." He said, "I can't money or you can't." He says, "Why?" I said, "Because there's already an FJ. You can't, there's no space." So he laughed about it. He says, "What do you mean there's an FJ there?" I said, "Listen, this is the second similar call that I'm receiving from a customer. The other dude already put it in there. There's no more space." So he laughed. But that's the amount of anger. Elsie's laughing at. That's the amount of anger that customer had because that Hilux had a freaking ghost system, and the app didn't work, and it didn't connect, and the bucky would start but not drive. If you put it in drive and it idles around in the mall, the customer was fucking fuming, fuming. He literally. I'm like, well, what would you have done to me if I was close to you? I said, Bob's, I feel black stuff. Sorry, I'm sorry. Ended up fixing it, contacted the place. They gave us some reset codes, reload the app, 1, 2, 3, the customer was gone. But at that stage, he was so angry, so angry. And I sent my number to all the approved, validated customers. And my number is everywhere on social media, so it doesn't matter. Like, but he had my number and he phoned me first. So he didn't lay a complaint because he was busy idling around in the shopping center. It was not time for a complaint. He wanted a phone. And he got one. And he said he's going to shove it there. But luckily for me, there was no space there because there was an FJ. So the punching bag needs to be now because I wrote this training, I understand who I have to be at which stage of the call. So sometimes in your company it's not possible. It's maybe you and your wife, you and your son, or it's only you running this business. Just be mindful that the first call, you have to be a punching bag. Even if the customer over exaggerates. I'll give you another example. Probably the most famous music star, top three in the country. He has to be at the airport at a certain time, and his courtesy vehicle that he was using was late. So it was in the wash bay. So he waited 5 minutes and he waited another 10 minutes. And 15 minutes later, he was on the road. But he was very anxious. So there was traffic on the way to our Tambo. It was like a late afternoon flight. He missed his flight. And he found me. Now, this is a guy with a big following, very important guy. Lots of people know him. He finds me. He says to me, "You know what? It's my daughter's netball game. It's her first netball game this evening. Okay. Because of you, I'm going to miss her netball game. Fuck. I wish the earth could like open up, swallow me, and then never spit me out." I said, "Okay, keep driving to the airport." He says, "No, I'm going to miss the flight. It's like checking, it's like X amount of minutes. I'm missing the flight. What time is your daughter's game this time?" I had a few calls. It cost us 8,000 Rand to get him halfway through the game to Cape Town. Eventually, it was fine. It worked out. He caught most of the game, but it happens. Like anything can happen at any time. Because he phoned me, I had to be the punching bag on the receiving side. At one stage, I'm like, dude, you like we a car, it's a free car, it's fuel. Yes, we do get some advertising from you. We appreciate it. But like when you got there and you knew you were late, by the way, you shouldn't have been late, but we should have had a clean car. And they wouldn't give him the car because it was there. They wanted him to drive in a fresh clean car because it was a flight in and then on the way back. Anyway, long story short, it worked out. After that, he apologized. I'm sorry I flipped you and all this other stuff. But I had to be the punching bag. What happens next is after the customer is vented, a mediator needs to find the customer. So typically it's a person that's also a calm personality, but more assertive, like a manager. So the manager will find the customer and say, okay, ABC gave me a shot. This is what you're unhappy about. I do apologize for whatever it is. Is that all that you're unhappy about? Are these the points that we need to hit to make sure that we satisfy you fully? Have we missed something? So yes, 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 yes. Oh, by the way, I forgot 1, 2, 3. He is 100 times caught. He doesn't want to drive the Hilux up your backside anymore because now it's been heard. So people actually care about the situation. The mediator says, "This is what you're unhappy about. Is there anything else?" That's it. Okay, great. After looking at the situation, I'm going to tell you that the DP or the CEO of, or a big shot in the company, somebody that's assertive and can actually make a decision. I'm going to pass this information over to him, and he will call you and he'll tell you exactly what the timeline is. But between now and then, there's another secret. We're going to create a WhatsApp group. Myself, you, the person that you were shouting at, that you wanted to drive a Hilux up their backside, and then the person that's going to call you now to create a timeline. So there's no he said, she said, they said, we all sit together now on the WhatsApp group. So all the communication going forward, if you don't mind, sir, until your issue is resolved, can we please at all times avoid personal message to that person, but rather put it on the group? May we add another person, a wife, a lawyer, an ancestor, who needs to be on that group to make sure that we manage this issue? And then he'll tell you who else needs to be, or it's just him. Then the authority person comes and says, sir, here's what's up. This is the problem. This is the solution to the problem. This is the timeline. I will try my best to hit the timeline or before, but it won't be before work hours. So typically, a car needs a repair. Today is what's today? Monday.
Yes.
It's Monday today. The vehicle will be done by Friday, 12 o'clock. But I want it Thursday. So I'll give you my best. But in writing on the group, I'm going to commit to Friday, 12 o'clock. If we manage to get the car sorted by Thursday, peace, first prize. We've over delivered. But I want to at least deliver by Friday, 12 o'clock. Is that agreeable? Shoot. All communication from that point on goes straight to that group. You make sure that you manage the timeline with good enough feedback. That's how you manage that on a one story. Okay, next topic. I'm going to really try my best for questions. Are there good questions so far? All right, will you send them on the group?
Okay.
Stop playing Tetris. I was concentrate.
Telling you what to do.
Okay, there we go. You put up some questions. Cool, 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 cool. All right. The next part is so critical. How to recover from a loss in sales. What are your averages on a connected? Okay. How do I start this part of the seminar with that question? When you go through a sales process, I've never met a salesperson that has 100% closing ratio. I don't care what you sell. There's always a customer that you're not going to be able to close, especially in the beginning of your sales career. The greener you are, the more you want a Zin.
Exactly.
Are you going to take a Zin?
Yes. There's nothing.
No, there's at the bottom. Let me,
Yeah, okay, ga dan.
no, you must clip it with your nails. You're not going to open it like that. Shit. Don't start like falling all over yourself here and spitting, getting violent. Put it on the side of your mouth. Teaching Elsie how to zip. Okay, how to recover from a loss in sales. You all lose deals. No one's perfect. It's always your fault. always your. You just need to understand that it's a numbers game, and you need to reduce the amount of sales to single digit numbers across the month. So 6% of sales are lost, and then we'll figure out why you lost just. So what are your average connected calls? I'm going to speak on our industry. The more input you have, the more output you have. Now in the beginning, you have tons and tons of, but your output is not as good as it should be because you're not good enough yet. You need that hustle muscle, you need that repetition in order for you to grow your sales and reduce the amount of sales that you lose. So you need to know what your averages are. With Eds, I use him as an example because he's given me permission to use him. It's 200 connected calls per day that yield 5.9 apps a day at F&I, and then he ends up at 30 plus calls per month. But he needs to connect to 200 people per day. Do you know what your approval ratios are? Those vary throughout the month, but over a 6 month period, there's a baseline. With us, it's just over 40%. So if you're submitting 60 apps, sorry, if you're submitting 6 apps a day, you're getting 2.5 approvals per day. Then, what is your closing ratio? So in order for me to sell 1.5, 1.6 cars per day, I need to be connected to 200 people that yields 6 apps a day, and I can do 1.5 cars a day. So some days you do one, other days you do two, other days you do six, and there's going to be days where you don't tick anything. Okay? That's how it works. So what is your average connected call per day ratio? What is your approval ratio? What is your closing ratio? Now, you can just, I'm telling you how we work. If you're in a different industry, how can you split those three that you have control over first? So, Ken, Elsa, are you freaking out here with your Zoom? Can, the question is, can Eddie control the approval ratio? The answer is no. Okay. Can he control the closing ratio? Yes, he can. So he can control the amount of connected calls and the closing ratio, but he can't control the middle. That's just up to the banks, up to the customer's profile. Customers lie. They tell you, no, I'm debt free. All my shit is paid. Everything is sweet. Credit record is sweet. And then they're on debt review with 2 repos on their name and they're 9 months behind on a house. Okay, it happens. No problem. We can't control that part, but we can control the input and then we can control the closing ratio. So super important. What are your ratios? You need to go sit and write them out. If you don't know what they are, even better. From tomorrow morning, you're going to start measuring how many calls you make. Lots of companies don't measure this. How many approvals you get, how many opportunities do you get to test drive, demo a product if you're selling vacuum cleaners. How many calls do I have to make to get appointments where I can come and show you this magical vacuum cleaner that cleans the air? And there was a chick at our house, I can't remember how many months. So she didn't found me. She finds my wife. She's got this magical product that transfers breathing air into more enriched oxygen and it's good for your skin and all this other stuff. Like I'm keen. Like the first thing is how many appointments have you had today? Not will the oxygen in my house, be enriched with this flavor that you bring here. What does this thing cost? It's like 20 grand. Like just breathe air, dude. It's free. You don't need to enrich it with. My wife's upset. It's a problem. But my question is, what's the closing ratios? How many demos do you do? Be professional. Big thing there, hoovers and water and pipes and all this other stuff. So what's your closing? I can see she's pretty junior, but she's done that a couple of times. Anyway, I train her on how to become better at selling this stuff. We're not buying because I don't believe in it. Like I wouldn't buy something I don't believe in. Just breathe it. Like Andrew Tate says, put down the vein, breathe in, you'll be okay. So what's her ratios? Help her figure that stuff out. Then you can control the end of your month paycheck because you can control the input by going and figuring out what's your ratio. So if your company doesn't measure it, you start measuring it yourself. how many connected calls, how many opportunities that I have, how many that are closed. By month three, you've got a formula for yourself. You know where you're strong, where you're weak. Do you need more input? Do you need to focus more on closing ratio? Sometimes you have people that have, we trained a guy, his name is Jose. Okay. His name is Jose. His application from lead to application ratio was 87%. Now, if you know anything about sales and our industry, 87% doesn't exist. It's false. They all say it's true. We send him 10 leads, he gets 9 apps. How? It's incredibly high. If you had 40%, like my man, 50%, bro, you're not allowed to walk here. I'll carry you around. You don't need to walk. I got your back. Where do you need to go? You need to go to the coffee shop. No problem. Let me pick you up. How about you there? You are fucking legit. His is almost 90%. He doesn't sell cars, this boy. He's a very good boy. He can't sell cars. So I end up sitting with him and saying, okay, Stefan, me and you're going to make a deal together. Yes, Uncle Bob's. What's the deal? You're not allowed to phone an approved customer. If you phone an approved customer, you know what an illegal tackle is in rugby? He says no. I said it's when you're looking that way and I come tackle you full force from behind and I'll blindside you and I'll like, crack 2 ribs. That's what I'm doing to you. If you phone a customer that's approved and validated without me in the room. Do you understand why? No. I said, here's why. Because you've got 20 approvals, only 5 people buy. How, bro? What are you saying to the people at the end of the call? That I'm not even going to try and teach you something I can't do because you at 90% lead to application. Like whatever you're doing, don't change it. But you're not allowed to phone customers once they've approved and validated unless I'm in front of you. And we're going to go through the call 5 or 8 different times before you push that green button. What if the client says this? What if the client says this? Are you working off your closing sheet? Yeah, I'm working off my closing sheet. By the way, that's the most powerful tool that I have. Show me the last closing sheet. So where's the closing sheet, homie? Uncle B. I haven't worked on it for a minute. Okay, cool. So this you're very good at. This you completely suck. You are bottom of the barrel in the company at closing, but you are like walk on water credit level when it comes to lead to application. Ended up fixing the bottom part, did fantastic. He left our company. He worked with a manager that my bad, it was my mistake. Love him to bits. Both of them, their personalities just clashed. You know, the one's a typical lifestyle guy, wants to be elite, wants to be a cheese boy, wants to have the Louis Vuittons. And, you know, the other guy's driving him by trying to make him competitive. You see that guy, that guy's beating you. He's nowhere near you. He motivates you. In his mind, he's motivated because he's leading in the way that he wants to be by being competitive. But salesperson's like, listen, discouraging me all day. I can't take this shit. I don't care if it hits me. I just want to make money. I want LVs and I want to benefit my kids. Ended up leaving our company at a different company now. He does fantastic because he's a manager that runs that floor, doesn't make him compete against other people, just lets him be and serves him and encourages him in the love language that he wants. Which, by the way, that guy, I wish he could come back one day, but maybe he does. We'll see. Okay, that's your ratios. You need to understand what they are, and you need to make sure that you grow in the top one, that you have actual input. You can phone customers, hi customer, hi, boom, and then close them at the appropriate time with the appropriate closing sheet. When you lose a client, can you identify exactly when that happened? So when the customer loses interest or ghosts you, that's another term that's been thrown around the dealerships for a while. It was an incredibly frustrating word for me. Until one day I said to the manager, okay, you've got a kid. Yeah. So you say these people are ghosting. Yeah, they're busy in meetings and like, bro, these people are buying polos. They're not in meetings all day. I'm not saying they're not in meetings, but they're not in meetings all day for 3 days. Okay. When a person phones you that you don't want to speak to, do you take that call? No. I'll close them as well. Okay. Let's say, for example, your daughter's school phones right now. When you are chatting, this is an important meeting, trying to train you and teach you. Would you take that call? Absolutely. Because we think there's something wrong. Exactly. If the correct person finds that customer, they will take the call. He's not taking your call because he doesn't want to listen to your bullshit. So where in the process did you get in bullshit? Where in the process did you say or not say something that landed you in a ghost? No, you ghost them. Ghost them. Say, check this out. Does the customer have my number? When I phone the client, you answer my number. Then he says, yeah, but you had him on the line. We can squeeze him for the deal. I said, no, the customer doesn't want to do the deal. Getting in contact with a customer when he doesn't want to speak to you is not a fucking win. Don't be. All that it proves is he doesn't want to speak to you. Eventually it lands. Show me the deal. We've got Trello cards with updates and it's going well until this point. Okay. So what happened here? No, I presented him with a trading offer. Did you send him the PDF justifying why we went from 350 to 320? Did you send him that? No. Okay. So the customer says, you're offering me 350, but then you come see the car and you lowball me on 320. That's why it's ghosting, because it doesn't, just because you understand the process, that we went out there, the tires are shot, his wife drove the car twice, so 2 rims needs to be repaired, and the windscreen has got a big chip on it. You can't sell it like that. You need to change the windscreen, fix the wife's mess that she made on the 2 rims, and we need to put 4 brand new tires. Had you followed procedure by sending him the PDF before you found the customer so you can process it together, would he ghost you? I don't think so. Okay, great. So that's where you've left out on this specific transaction, and it's that way on every transaction. The key is, can you put your ego aside so that you can actually focus and say, this is where I screwed it up. Because he wasn't ghosting me up to this point. This is where he said, stuff you, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Goodbye. Okay, that's the point. Pinpoint it and then learn from that, because the customer is not going to give you another opportunity to lowball him on his trading in his eyes, because he didn't justify the change of prices. 20, 30 grand, whatever the number is. So can you identify what happened? Okay. Identify if you press reset, preset, I read it as preset, press reset, and have to do it all over again. What could you do differently? Okay. Accept that you've lost the deal. If I can go back in time and start the transaction at step one, where would I do what differently? So in that specific scenario is, he wouldn't give the trade-in offer over the phone and try and close the customer with the figures that he had in hand on the trading offer that he had that the customers needed for the first time. That's exactly, if you could press reset, what would you do? Bob's, I'll send the PDF, I'll ask the customer, can I phone you so we can process this together? Okay, you're not driving. Can you open your computer or your WhatsApp or your laptop, PC, so that we can go line by line, so I can give you my findings on your vehicle? Because he knows his car. He knows the wife drove it twice and 2 rims are damaged. He knows something fell out of the back of the truck. Don't punch, Elsa. He knows something fell out of the back of the truck, hit the window. Okay, and he also knows the tires are shot. Tires will never pass road with it. We need to do those 3 items, and this is how much each item costs. So if you press reset, can you go back there and do it differently, but better this time to get a favorable result? Now, the moment you become tough on yourself with this strategy, that's the moment when your sales increase. Because the moment you start doing that, you know, okay, in order for me not to screw up Joseph's deal, I need to take what I did from Eugene's deal to Joseph's deal. That's why sales meetings are important. And a loss is it's a big negative for a salesperson. It's a big positive for me because we're learning. I'm going to share a loss with you guys. A top G salesperson says to me, Uncle B, I'm going to put on my civvies because we wear uniform, and I'm going to take a customer. Okay, this is how much this person has got. His ego is so big, it will not fit in this office. This is a big studio. He can't fit in here because of his ego. He's got the biggest ego out of everyone. And he says, I'm going to go and pick up the customer. I'm going to drive the customer to an Audi dealership, and I'm going to be there for the delivery process, and then I'll come back to work. I'm like, are you on crack? What are you smoking? He says, no, I lost the deal to this salesperson here at Audi. The customer already signed online. He's going to sign the delivery note, pick up the vehicle, and then he's going to go home. But I'm going to give him the lift because he said the other salesperson treated me better than you did, and he was more transparent. And the interest rate, all this other stuff. Like, my man, okay, let me know how it goes. Goes home in his own car, changes his clothes, picks up the client that he lost, takes him through to Audi, has to eat up all that shame. He's, he's there throughout the process, how the salesperson spoke to him, how they implemented their process and procedure, how the delivery was done, all this other stuff. Comes back to work. I say his name. What can you tell me? He says, listen, I will never lose to that man for as long as he lives. He beat me this time. Never beat me again. Here's the 5 things that they did to me. Boom, 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 boom. Made a listicle, improved on that. Whether we've lost or not to that person again, I don't know for sure. But I know we got better, and the chances that he beats us again is almost zero. It's not impossible, but it's almost zero in that scenario. Okay, exactly where we lost. Boom, go back, fix it, carry on. How do you speak to yourself when a loss occurs? This is a this is a freaking golden bullet. You could say, you could say, customer's full of shit, customer's always right. And he gave me all these 5 things that are impossible, and working an installment is like gravity. I can't make a Lamborghini Aventador be 12 grand a month. I can't do that. That's why I lost him. Customer's an asshole. And you could say that to yourself. Or you could say, right, where in the initial conversation did I not manage expectations properly so that the customer in his mind had an installment, and then when I gave him the real installment, it fell apart and he sent me to God. Where exactly? Because if you think that way, the second version, you're going to be a lot better on the next score at managing expectations up front. So your next score is better. Your next score is better. Now you know on an approval how to process a decrease in price on the trading, for example. You know in the approval process how to speak interest rate up front versus how they beat us on interest rate there. It was a scheme deal. We didn't know. We didn't know to ask. And that's why they beat us with interest rate, because the customer is the customer, right? If you're getting 12.5 at a dealer and that's the actual recommended rate, there's no way that I can give you 10. It just doesn't work that way. If there's a scheme deal or they're throwing money against a certain model, in that case, they were throwing 50, 60 grand against a certain model. How do they do that? They buy the interest rate from the bank. That's what a scheme deal is. You go and you say, I've done it many times here. I bought, I think it was 20 Honda HRVs. I think it was HRVs, yes. That ultimately at 50 grand profit. I wanted to move the cost quickly. I went and I negotiated with the bank on a used car. How do I get every single customer into a prime situation on this car? It will cost you 30,000 rand. So I can't do 38. How can I get prime plus 0.5? I want to retain 20,000 rand profit. What interest rate can I advertise? That's how we got the interest rate, advertise them, so them. So that's a scheme deal. But how do you speak to yourself? And then this is very important. And I'm going to leave you with this before I take questions for 20 minutes. How much time do you allocate towards a loss? How much time do you allocate towards a loss? Now, some of the salespeople that we have hadn't seen me train them on this. My fault. They'll take a loss and they're going to cry about it for 3 days. Okay. They lost the deal. Am I good enough? Normally, it's like the ultra high achievers that are the toughest on themselves. Am I even good enough for this job? How am I going to feed my kids? I can't even close the door. I can't even close a paper cut. I suck. My life's over. For 3 days. That's the only thing that's on their mind. So, what do you think the mood, the energy level of that salesperson is in that state of mind? It's not good, right? The next customer doesn't deserve you at 60%. In that case, at 10%. They deserve you at 100%. So, you need to allocate time. You need to allocate time for each and every loss. I'm going to give you a different example. We lose someone in the marketing department not too long ago. Very junior person, very good human, friendly, super junior. Here's how my mind works. Okay, this is a 35-45 minute loss. Okay, here's our process. Good human, there's no bad feelings. I didn't create an enemy. She's got an opportunity elsewhere, wants to do sales, wants to get out of marketing, wants to do sales. She's going to travel a lot, excited about traveling, meeting new people, young girl, not married, sweet. So for 35 to 45 minutes, I process this loss this way. Okay, what is her daily tasks? Because she gave us a month notice. I accepted the notice. Normally in a situation like this, I'd say, listen, no notice period needed. If the company is willing to take you next week, Monday, salute, let's
Just
go.
hold on, sorry.
What happened?
They could disconnect.
Okay. Ran out of data.
Askies.
No problems.
Okay, back on. Ons wag net weer vir die mense om te begin.
Okay, no problem. We'll wait a few minutes. Are they jumping back online? Is it only TikTok or everything else?
TikTok.
Okay.
8 people back.
People are joining back again.
Yes.
All right. So lots of cool messages that I have here. Campaign is getting clients. How important is marketing campaigns in getting clients? Rambo, I hope you're back, my brother. Michelle, where can we get the PowerPoint slides? So you need to be on our group because we'll share the PDF straight after this seminar. We'll share the PDF. If you're not on the group, you can just, what's the best way else? They must just send me a WhatsApp. My number is in my username. I'll add you to the group and then we'll share the PDF later. But back to how much time do you allocate towards a loss? So that specific girl that left the marketing team was a 45-minute allocation. So for 45 minutes, I'm going to focus on that loss. What does she do for us every day? A listicle. Well, in the morning, she has to do this. So a typical duties and responsibilities conversation bullet point. What are we missing? Call her in. Outside of this, what else do you do? Well, I do this and this as well. Sometimes when this person asks, okay, cool. Anything else that you can think of? We have a month, but can you think of anything else? No. All right, team, who's going to assist with these functions? Who has capacity? Then Elsie will typically say, I don't have capacity, messes with my Tetris time. I'm taking no over. Now, Elsie.
Kom kusje so vinnig.
So that's a 35, 45-minute loss. Okay. Losing a deal is typically 5 to 10 minutes. That's how much time you allocate. You hyper focus, backtrack. Where did I screw up? If I could press the reset button, how would I do this again? And then we carry on with life and we continue by giving 100% to the next customer every time. Every time we experience a loss. Now, when a manager leaves, sometimes I'll use a different person. We had an FD that was with us for 20 years. Okay. She decided she needs to move on. That loss is a 2-week loss. Okay. That person, that woman who I saw as a mother, I love her to bits. She passed away a couple of months ago. So we all miss her very much. That's not a nasty breakup, divorce, throw things at each other, want to rip our eyes out. She just, it was not pleasant anymore. The pressure's too high. She says, I need to make a move. I need to change my lifestyle. And I'm giving you the time that you need. It's not a month. However much time you need, I'm going to help you find a suitable replacement. But this is my decision. And I'm going to go do something else. Okay, cool. This is a couple of weeks lost. So now I need to figure out, all right, the amount of things that this woman does, I can write a book. It's not even 5 or 6 tasks or listicle. I can write a book. She does this to this person, does that for that person. When this breaks here, it goes to her. So it's a very complex listicle that we have to build up. All right. Now that we know what all the functions are that she does, outside of pay slips, outside of payments for cars, etc. She's got a team, but she leads that team. Okay. Who do I trust that I can approach to go and find me an FD? All right, an auditing firm that we've been using for a couple of years. I reach out, sir, this is the situation. I can't believe it, Bobs. I, I'm calling you to say this is what's happening. And you and her have worked for 3, 4 years together, hand in hand. You know my personality, you know her personality. We fight like cats and dogs, but we fight for the same mission. Who do you think, number one, can handle me at my very best and at my very worst? And before you throw out a name, I need your help. I've contacted a couple of recruitment companies, but I would prefer if that person that you say, Bob's, I've got 3 women or 3 guys or whatever the case might be, let's interview them together. Who would those people be? And you don't need to tell me tonight or this week. Think about it. If something comes up, if a name pops up that can handle me at my worst and at my best and can handle this big ship that we've created, he or she needs to steer the ship. Couple of weeks, right? So I'm processing this loss every day, every day. But outside of that situation, it shouldn't be more than a couple of minutes or a couple of hours. So that's how much time you allocate towards a loss in any situation. And once that time is up, it's done. We're not going to cry about it, sit in the corner and sulk, question our ability to feed our family. It's done. We move on. It's 100% to the next customer. It's done. In the beginning, it's very weird because you need to go and figure out how much time should I allocate to this. Now, where you can get it wrong is the following way. Had I allocated a couple of weeks to the junior marketing person, it would have been a complete failure on my side because for a couple of weeks I'm running around like a chicken without a head trying to fix a small problem. And it's no diminish to what she did, but she's a very junior person. The responsibility, the weight on her shoulders is not the same as our financial director. She's got a heavy load. So either where the mistake happens is you allocate too little time or too much time. It takes practice to say, when losing a sale, 10 minutes, no longer than 10 minutes. I don't care how big the sale was. It could be for a 3 million rand car. It's a 10-minute loss process that you run in your head. And after the 10 minutes, you should have figured it out. Where did you screw up? And then take that lesson into your next call. Versus a couple of weeks, what ended up happening is the auditing firm that we use, that person came up with a great name. That specific person was in the market. He had him and his company had trained that person, worked in the automotive space, has a personality that can handle me on my worst while having lunch. She's a freaking rock star. Hardly ever speaks to me or asks me. Funny enough, I don't know if you saw, she pulled me out onto the floor today. She has 3 things to speak about. It's a minute each because that's how I like it. Henry, the depot manager, will phone me and he says to me, "It's we have an out of 10 count, so it's an 8 out of 10, and it's a 60-second conversation. I need to call you. You send me a WhatsApp. If I miss it, he phones. It's 8 out of 10, 60-second conversation. Here's the solution, and here was the problem. Okay, do you agree with my decision? Salute, bro. Let's go." So we had a conversation, interviewed her. The previous financial director interviewed her with me, interviewed her alone. I said to her, "You must grill this chick. What if this? What if this? What if I like thought of in a couple of weeks? I thought of like the 10 like badass situations that we've had. I want you not to guide her in the answer, but present her with a scenario and ask her what would you do and why, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Because if she makes the wrong decision, we understand why. Okay, maybe she doesn't have this piece of information. Then you can go, what if this, what if this, what if this, what if this? This chick was a rock star. After the first meeting, in our previous FD said, Bobs, I think she's the one. I'm like, can't be. We need to see more people because in my heart, I don't want her to go. I want her to stay forever. But the reality is she doesn't. She's made up her mind. She says, Bobs, I think she's the one because I presented her with this case. This is how she answered. Here she gave me, like, she taught me something. This chick taught me stuff about the motor industry that I didn't know. No, I've been doing this 20 years with from the beginning. Okay. She's just been doing it at a different place where they had a different point of view. Like, this is our chick. Anyway, back forward, couple of weeks later, no more problem. Everything is sweet. We carry on with life. So don't over allocate time and don't under allocate time. But in the beginning, sort of hyper focus on the loss, try and trace where the problem was, and then time yourself. Okay, this took me 15 minutes. So for me, a loss of a sale is a 15-minute loss. It's not a 15-day loss. Because if your target is 20 and you spend 15 days licking your wounds, crying like a little girl in the corner, then your month end is going to be on the same. There was a few good ones. I'm going to just scan. If I miss yours, I'm sorry. I am sorry. Okay. Okay. Some idiot wants 10 grand for December. You're an idiot. Get off TikTok. Okay. They highlighted that. Okay. Okay, great leader, great culture. Okay, PDF. If you want the PDF, send me a WhatsApp message. PDF. I'll add you to the group, and then we can share the PDF tonight at like what time? 9 o'clock.
Sal dit nou share as ons
Kan jy dit nou share? So Elsie will share it on the group now, and then maybe share it to a couple more people later that reach out. Okay, I want the PDF, Corolla. No, where can I get the PowerPoint? Taking notes. Silver Mustang, yes. How important is marketing campaigns in getting leads? Similarly to how important is it for you to breathe to live? I hope that answers your question. PowerPoint, AutoHub for leads. We don't use AutoHub, Rudy. Now we've developed our own CRM. Starting a side hustle brand mainly on social media. How will you go about getting it out there? John Pinar. John, like your style, brother. But this is like a 45-minute seminar. I think you're almost ready to book me for a one-on-one. You just need to pull the trigger and say, okay, I'm ready to make money off social media. Let me book Bob's for one-on-one, and then you can change my life. Okay, Chris builds systems. You've got a very good question. What is a closing sheet? So it's a piece of paper or a document which gives you clarity. So I've designed ours. It trumps everything else that I've designed in our closing program and also in teaching sales. It literally trumps it. So along the conversation, there's normally 4 or 5 important points when it comes to selling a car. It's the installment, it's the interest rate, it's the trading, it's the deposit, and normally it's something that's unknown. It's a question mark. So in order of importance, what is the most important to the customer? Some will have interest rate as the most important. These are guys with 900 credit scores. They want prime. They don't want to know anything else. Installment is irrelevant. I did a closing call on quite an expensive M5. The customer was fascinated about prime. Okay, this guy's earning 900,000 rand a month. Okay, buying an M5 from us to add to his collection of, I don't even know how many cars he's got, probably like 20 something cars. The closing call on that specific car, the most important thing that I need to say first to that specific customer, number one priority on the closing sheet is the rate. Good day, sir. Are you ready for me? Uncle B, I'm ready. I got your prime rate. Fantastic. That's good news. Sir, the installment is only 32,800 rand. I say, sweet. Is my car ready? I said, sir, it's over a term. Uncle B, is my car ready? Like, I'm excited, man. You keep building this M5 competition that it will kill this car and that car. Like, I want to come with my light and fetch my car. So, sir, can I tell you the term? Is it at prime rate? Yes. I'll see you now. Click. All right. For another person, I don't want to pay 96 months. Are you fucking kidding me? 96 months. So the closing sheet is a couple of points that you need to standardize in your industry or your business. And you need to hit on that point, which is the most important point for the customer first. Most customers are very sensitive to installment, especially newcomers to the market, first time buyers. How much am I paying, Uncle B? If I tell you the rate, it like literally flies over your head. The rate is important, but not as important as having my installment start with a five. If it starts with a five, I'm sweet because I've budgeted for 5,700 or 5,500 or 5,900, whatever the budget is, it needs to start with a five. So, sir, Uncle B, yeah, what's up? I'm good. How are you, Uncle B? I'm fantastic, bro. Your installment starts with a five. Excellent. Is my car ready? That's what a closing sheet is. I love your question. All right, next. 580 credit score. Can I get a car? So this is not the right seminar for that question, but I'll answer it in 10 seconds. I don't know. Nobody does because your score ultimately does not say whether you can buy a car. It's affordability, equity, risk on both you and the vehicle. Those are the four important parts when the bank gives you an approval. You go to a slick F&I, they get you approved. You go to a shit F&I, they get you declined. You go to a shittier one, and then you get blocked, and the slick one can't approve you. That's how I'll answer your question. Okay, what is a closing sheet? Chris, here we go. Mark, hi Bobby. I have a 2021 Kia Rio, 122 on the clock. Mark, send me a WhatsApp, 4 or 5 photos with a disc description. I'll price your car immediately. Okay, there's the guy that wants a Christmas gift. You want to trade in a X55 Beijing for another family car? Again, shoot me a WhatsApp. I'll definitely assist you trading in that vehicle. Flace, will you give me more on a trading on my car than you would if I bought it outright? Would you give me more on a trading on a car if I bought it outright? Okay. So every time there's a trade-in on a vehicle, remember a dealership has profit within that vehicle. So if they really want to push that car out, they'll pay you more for your trade. E46 Ghost. Uncle Bobby, is a E46 2002 a good car to own? With the Alpine white stamp from BMW on the car. Definitely, bro. That car sounds kick-ass. Kevin, Uncle Bob, what can I get for 5K per month? Depending on how the deal is structured, a car around 250, 280, depending on how the deal is structured, around there. I can give you a brand new vehicle, brand new out the box. That's it. 1 minute to spare. Boom. I hope we're leaving you better than we found you. If you want this PDF, shoot me a WhatsApp. I want to be on the masterclass masterminds group. I'll add you to the group, and the PDF will end up on the group. Between now and then, next time I see you, next week Monday, I really hope the guys and girls that stayed over are better, left better rather than we found. If you want to book me for a session to go deep dive anything, social media marketing, how to drive salespeople. If you want to go more layers deep in social media marketing, in controlling the narrative, that's a good one. And how to speak to salespeople in a love language that they prefer. It's lifestyle, people that are driven by money. Those guys are, you think most salespeople are that. Very small percentage of salespeople are that. But you need to uncover what drives them. That's the first one. Okay. The second one are boys and girls that are driven by status. These boys and girls are driven by, I want to become a manager. I want to be a leader. I want the title. Very different love language. Okay. Third, and my favorite, and the most chaotic, the most vicious and violent, and the most difficult to control, but the most fun, if you can speak their love language, are the guys that are driven by madness, competition. How do I beat this guy? Who holds the record here? Okay, how do I get quickest two? How do I become first two? How do I get to 10 first? Because there's a cash bonus. 15, there's a cash bonus. 20, there's a cash bonus. 25, how do I get there? Different love language. And then The bottom is the legacy people, the people that want to change an industry. Normally, these people's ID number normally doesn't start with a 0 or a 9. It's more a 8765. How do you speak their love language to get maximum production while they're actually happy and want to stay and believe in your mission? If you want to unpack all of those, there is a way you can book me. 90-minute session. It's a paid full session. If you book me for 2 of those, you get a third one for free, either live in studio in person, or it will be a recording in the studio or a recording on Zoom. Between the time I see you next and now, be safe. All the best. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.